Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right in to demystify a massive debate for IT professionals and career switchers who are trying to navigate the modern insurance tech stack. Look, if you've been watching the massive digital transformation sweeping through the insurance world right now, you've absolutely seen two giant names dominating the landscape: Guidewire and Salesforce. So today, we're going to break down exactly what each of these heavyweights actually does, how they operate, and most importantly, how you can choose the right path for your tech career.
So let's dive straight into the big question. Why are we even comparing these two systems when looking at transformation programs or tech job descriptions? Well, think about it like this. The insurance industry has spent the last decade frantically replacing outdated systems that were written before the internet even existed. Those clunky 1980s mainframe platforms? They're finally dying out. Paper claim files are being replaced by lightning-fast digital workflows. Today, customers expect to buy a motor policy on their phone in 4 minutes flat, and they want to track a claim just like they track a pizza delivery. And you know what? That massive behavioral shift created two very distinct technology problems. And to just completely shatter the illusion that these two platforms are direct competitors, we have to look at this quote. This single sentence hits the nail right on the head and captures the entire paradigm shift. A system of record, which is Guidewire, holds the authoritative truth, the hard numbers, the actual policies, the complex invoices. But a system of engagement, which is Salesforce, manages all the human interaction wrapping around that truth. The market essentially solved two very different problems with two very different products.
Okay, here's how we're going to break this down today. First, the insurance tech illusion. Second, Guidewire, the operations engine. Third, Salesforce, the customer connection. Fourth, better together, the integration. Fifth, career paths and salaries. And finally, number 6, choosing your tech career.
Starting with Section 1, the insurance tech illusion. Why are these two even compared in the first place?
I mean, it's totally understandable why a fresher in a major tech hub like Hyderabad or Pune gets a bit confused when they see Guidewire and Salesforce roles listed right next to each other at giant system integrators like Accenture or Cognizant. They pay broadly similar money, and they show up in the exact same insurance transformation programs. But here's the reality check. Guidewire was built exclusively for core property and casualty operations. Period. Salesforce, on the other hand, is a massive, broad customer relationship platform that spans basically all industries, though they do have specific editions tailored for insurance. So they're solving entirely different problems for the exact same chief information officer.
Which brings us to Section 2, Guidewire, the operations engine. This is our authoritative truth.
Listen, if Guidewire fails, the insurance company literally stops functioning. It's the engine. Guidewire is built on 4 core modules. First, Policy Center handles the heavy lifting, quoting, underwriting, and issuance. It holds all those highly complex product models. Then you've got Claim Center, which takes care of everything from the very first notice of loss all the way through fraud checks and vendor coordination. Billing Center? That manages the incredibly complex money movement of the insurance world, like split payers and tricky installment plans. And finally, Contact Manager ensures there is one single record for every person so you don't have the same customer magically appearing 4 different times across the company's systems.
Now, if you peek under the hood, Guidewire relies on a proprietary language called Gosu. It's statically typed, and honestly, it reads a whole lot like Java, which is fantastic news for any Java developers out there looking for a short learning curve. The architecture here is all about massive scale and sheer transaction throughput. We're talking about performance tuned to process hundreds of thousands of batch renewals overnight, or handling the incredibly heavy claim volumes that spike immediately after a massive catastrophe like a cyclone or a flood. It is built for raw, heavy-duty operational power.
Moving to Section 3, Salesforce, the customer connection. This is what we call the conversation layer.
Okay, so Salesforce is strong, exactly where Guidewire is, quite deliberately thin. Remember, Salesforce doesn't sell a core insurance system. They sell relationship management. For instance, Financial Services Cloud gives an agent one unified screen to see every single policy a family holds. Service Cloud runs the omni-channel contact center, routing all those chats and phone calls. Sales Cloud manages the pipeline, tracking leads long before a policy even exists. And Experience Cloud? That's what builds those slick digital portals where you log in to download your documents. Salesforce manages the conversation, not the underlying operational math.
Architecturally speaking, Salesforce uses a multi-tenant cloud model. That means every single customer shares the exact same underlying infrastructure. Nobody gets to skip an upgrade. To make this work, it relies on a server-side language called Apex, alongside modern Lightning web components for the UI. But unlike Guidewire's intense focus on back-end batch processing, Salesforce is specifically optimized for high concurrent user interaction. It is literally built to handle thousands of service agents working simultaneously across the globe without ever missing a beat.
And that perfectly transitions us to Section 4, Better Together, the integration, the perfect marriage.
So let's walk through a seamless single customer journey to see how this actually plays out. In step 1, a prospect fills out a web form, and Salesforce tracks that lead. Then, in step 2, the agent needs to generate a quote, so through an API, Guidewire's Policy Center calculates all the heavy math and actually issues the policy. Step 3, let's say 8 months later, the customer gets into a fender bender and reports it on their mobile app via Salesforce Experience Cloud. And finally, in step 4, that data is instantly passed right back to Guidewire's Claims Center, where an adjuster adjudicates and pays the claim while status updates flow back to Salesforce so the customer service rep can answer the client's questions in real time. 2 platforms, 1 completely unified customer experience. Now, this flawless flow of data doesn't just happen by magic. A typical large insurer actually connects anywhere from 15 to 40 different systems. On the Guidewire side, they're exposing REST APIs and using tools like Apache Kafka for high-volume event streaming. On the Salesforce side, they're utilizing powerhouses like MuleSoft for enterprise integration and platform events. And this right here, this is exactly why integration developers who actually understand both sides of this architecture are among the absolute most valuable people you can hire on an insurance transformation program today.
All right, Section 5, Career Paths and Salaries. This is where we get into the personal stakes. Let's talk numbers. Here's the market data across Indian hiring, from freshers all the way up to architects with 10+ years of experience. Now, what's really fascinating here is that Guidewire salaries actually sit just slightly higher at comparable experience levels. Why is that? Well, it's because the Guidewire talent pool is significantly smaller. It's a highly specialized niche market. Salesforce, conversely, has slightly lower averages, but they boast a vastly larger total pool of job openings because it's a platform used across retail, healthcare, finance, literally every industry you can think of.
But here is the real differentiator when we look at technical requirements: domain knowledge. See that bottom row? Working in Guidewire is incredibly difficult if you don't understand actual property and casualty insurance mechanics. You have to know what an endorsement is or why a reserve gets revised. That deep, specialized knowledge is exactly what makes you so hard to replace. Salesforce, by contrast, is far more domain agnostic. Knowing the insurance industry definitely helps, sure, but it is not the massive barrier to entry that it is with Guidewire.
And that brings us to our final section, number 6, choosing your tech career. Time to make the decision.
Here is the absolute most important takeaway from all of this. You are not trying to pick a winning software today. What you are actually picking is a career philosophy. The Guidewire path richly rewards depth. If you love diving into the complexities of insurance mechanics and you want less competition, Guidewire is going to pay you handsomely for that specialized depth. The Salesforce path, however, rewards breadth. If you crave industry flexibility, meaning you want to easily port your skills from an insurance company over to a tech startup and then maybe to a manufacturing giant, Salesforce is absolutely your vehicle.
And that leaves us with our final thought for today's explainer. The choice ultimately boils down to this one question. Do you want depth in a highly lucrative, specialized domain, or do you want breadth across a massive, multi-industry ecosystem? Pick your path, build a hands-on project, and commit to it completely. Because 10 years from now, do you want to be the undisputed master of $1 trillion insurance